Oh, and I got a rare opportunity to give another talk on Sunday, and that I really enjoyed that. That was great. Yeah. So
where was that?
they're an Auckland-based group, and the guy that runs that, he does these Zoom classes every weekend. Yep. So on a Sunday, so he invited me to host one of the lead one of the Zoom class discussions.
Oh, that was great. It.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to. It sounds like a good topic too.
Yeah, it's a good topic.
Did they know what your name meant?
Yeah, mostly Indians in the audience, so yeah, they know what Abai means. Yeah.
All right. No, I just was curious if it was a yeah. coincidence.
You know, that was really nice. I mean, gardening is. I mean, I need to do gardening to grow food. I mean, we all need to eat, so I've decided to grow my own food. But in terms of enjoyment, my best enjoyment is just talking about Krishna. I enjoy that more than anything else. I mean, I've been gardening since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, but and it's okay. I enjoy it, but there's no comparison to talking about Krishna for me. Yes. That's like my LSD. That's my high.
Your spiritual LSD.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, let's offer respect. Om Jnanatamrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born the darkest ignorance, so my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes. With the shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances under his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita from the 7th chapter.
It is.
Pardon?
As it is.
As it is, yeah, Bhagavad Gita as it is, very important. Prabhupada hasn't interpreted or adulterated it in any way. It's just like we're hearing Krishna speak, just like we were on the battlefield without getting shot at. It's just like we were there and hearing everything that Krishna and Arjuna spoke. They're very fortunate.
And you are Sanjay.
What's that? Sanjay.
You are Sanjay.
Yeah, like Sanjay. Relaying what happened on the battlefield.
Exactly. You're just showing us what's exactly happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're continuing our discussion of the 7th chapter, Knowledge of the Absolute. Text 15, talking about the demons that don't surrender to Krishna. There's two kinds of living entities in the material world. It's not very complicated. Two basic types. One type is the devotees, and the other type's the demons. And in Sanskrit, the devotees are called devas, D-E-V-A, deva, demigods. In English, we say demigods. So demi means like half or small. So God, right? Demigod. Yep. So like we know, right, that qualitatively we're the same as God, but quantitatively we're different.
So we are demigods.
Yeah, we're actually in one sense. I mean, there are demigods that control different parts of the universe, so we're not in that category. We don't control the sun and the moon and the air and the wind and the water and everything. But actually, I mean, the definition of demigod and demon is demigod are devotees of Vishnu or Krishna. That's a demigod. So, and demon are everyone else. If they're not a devotee of Vishnu or Krishna, then they fit into the category of demon. So, in one sense, we are a demigod too, even though we don't control the sun and the moon and that. But we still fit into that category of a demigod. Like that. Of course, there's very powerful demigods, and they have more responsibility than what we have. So they're controlling a particular planet or compartment, of the universe, like that. The water department, the fire department, like that. So they have more responsibility, like that. But still, basically, they're devotees of Vishnu, so they're demigods, and we're also devotees of Vishnu or Krishna, so we're also demigods. And everyone else, if they're not a devotee of Vishnu, they're a demon. And interestingly, so okay, let's ask you a question. If someone is a devotee of a demigod, like they're a devotee of Shiva or a devotee of Ganesh or a devotee of Durga or whatever, what category do you think they're in? Are they in a demigod category or are they in a demon category? So someone that's a devotee of a demigod.
Definitely demigod's category.
Pardon?
It's a demigod category.
No, you didn't hear what I said the definition was. The definition of a demigod is that they are a devotee of Vishnu, right?
Yes, that's right.
And Vishnu means like including, Krishna is the source of Vishnu, but also, Kurma, Matsya, Varaha, Nrsimha, Varaha, all the different forms of Vishnu. Ram, Lord Ram, like that. So they're all Vishnu category. So if they're a servant of Vishnu category, then they're given the designation, the title, demigod. Okay. And everyone else, if they're not a devotee of Vishnu, everyone else, they're in the category of demon. Okay, so then the question was, if someone is a devotee of a demigod, what category do they fall into then?
Demigod.
No, you're not following the definition.
You can't imagine that it would be.
What's that?
And if, even if, because if they are, by what you're saying, they're demons, but, we meet so many people at the temple who come, Indian people who worship one of the demigods, and you can't imagine them, they're quite pious sort of people. You can't imagine them calling them demons, like.
Yeah, but they're coming to Radha Gokulananda, so they're obviously some kind of devotee of Radha Gokulananda, but that devotion is not mixed. I mean, it is probably mixed. So, maybe on Sunday they worship Krishna, and on Monday they worship Shiva, and, Saturday they worship, Nrsimhadev, and Wednesday they worship, Ganesh, or whatever. So, it's not pure, it's mixed. So, I mean, there's some devotion for Vishnu there, so we wouldn't write them off completely. But some demigod worshippers, it's just like we are exclusively devoted to Krishna. So some demigod worshippers, they're exclusively devoted to Shiva or exclusively devoted to Lord Brahma or to Ganesh or whatever, and they don't worship Vishnu or Krishna at all. So I'll give you some examples of how we can call someone that worships a demigod's a demon. Okay, let's look at one particular universal terrorist named Hiranyakashipu. Who was Hiranyakashipu a devotee of?
Sorry, say that again.
Hiranyakashipu, who was he worshipping? Who was he devoted to?
Was it Shiva?
No, not too far away.
Vishnu.
No, no, he tried to kill Vishnu. He hated Vishnu. He was, you can't get more anti-Vishnu than him. So he was actually a devotee of Lord Brahma. But, did he worship Lord Brahma like we worship Krishna because just for the sake of, well, we love Krishna and we're not trying to get anything from Krishna, we just love Krishna. And, but no, he was materially motivated. He only worshipped Brahma, not because he loved Brahma, but because he wanted some benedictions. It's called Ashirvad. Ashirvad means some benediction, some blessing. And what did he want from Lord Brahma?
The kingdom and all that.
What was his desire? No, even more than a kingdom. He wanted immortality.
Immortality.
Yeah. So he didn't approach Brahma because I love you, Brahma, but because I want you to make me eternal, that I don't have to die. He was trying to avoid death. Of course, everyone's trying to avoid death. So he approached Lord Brahma to get that. And Brahma said, sorry, even I have to die. So I can't give you that because even I don't have that.
But I've got a question.
Yeah.
For example, if somebody is praying Hanuman is the sevak of Lord Rama.
Yeah.
That person already, like, it's where I'm praying, and his guru is like, he cannot be demon.
Well, it depends what you see them as,
Even
are
if
you seeing,
praying
are you
Lord
seeing
Shiva,
them are you seeing them just as a powerful controller and you want to get something from them? Or are you seeing them, I love Hanuman because he's the greatest servant of Ram. He's the greatest servant of Ram. So, I'm the servant of the servant. So
Lord
if you're the
Shiva,
servant of the servant, then that's okay. Then you're also fit in the demigod category. But if you're approaching him just because he's like super strong and powerful and he can remove all of your problems and suffering, so, I'm going to get that from him, that's very selfish. That's the thing. The demigod worshippers generally are very selfish. They don't really love anybody. They just love themselves, and they want to get wealth from a demigod, or pass the exams with the help of the demigod, or strength from a demigod, or destroy the enemies with the help of the demigod. They're just using the demigod as like a tool for their sense gratification. So, you can get sense gratification just by working hard and in the factory or the office and making money, and then go out and, have a party and drink and have sex.
What happened if somebody using Krishna as a tool of sense gratification? So he's become a demigod too? He's become a demon.
No, he's still a demigod. He wouldn't be designated as a demon. But that is where the demigods are said to have material desires. Whereas then you distinguish within the category of demigods, devotee of Vishnu, you've got those that are just purely want to serve Vishnu and they don't want anything back. So those you wouldn't, within that category of demigod, you would call them bhaktas, devotees, or, Shuddha bhaktas, like that, pure devotees. So Shuddha means pure and bhakta means devotee. So devotees are demigods. So we also, devotees fit in the category of demigods, but within that category of demigods, there's demigods that purely want to serve God and don't want anything in return, and then there's demigods that have material desires. So most of the demigods, it said, the 33 million demigods that control different parts of the universe, that they have material desires. They're devotees of Vishnu and they have material desires. Whereas a pure devotee, like Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the six Goswamis, so forth, that they don't have material desires. They just love God. And where are we at? I mean, I definitely wouldn't say we are pure devotees because, speaking for myself, there are still material desires in the heart. So, we're probably a little, in between the demigods that have material desires and those pure devotees. We're, in one sense, we're trying to be devotees. And that's what Prabhupada said to some of his disciples. Some of his disciples would say, like, we're devotees. And Prabhupada would say, hang on, you're trying to be devotees, but you're not fully a devotee yet. So we shouldn't get carried away and think, we're a pure devotee. We're trying to be. If someone says, who are you? You say, well, I'm trying to be a devotee of Krishna. I'm trying to become a servant of Krishna. So I don't say, I am a pure devotee, not like that. Actually, even a pure devotee, they never say that they're a pure devotee. If someone asked, Prabhupada or whatever, like that, are you a pure devotee? He would not say he is, A real pure devotee is always very humble. That's the first quality of a devotee. They're very humble. They say, no, I'm not a devotee. I'm trying to be a devotee, like that. So we shouldn't be proud or arrogant and think we're a pure devotee. And we all know what's in our heart. We have a bit of junk in our heart still. Either there's some lust there, or there's some greed, or there's some anger, or there's some envy or pride or whatever. So, we're not, but we're on the path, as Prabhupada said. We're like Bob was talking about mangoes. So Prabhupada said that we're like green mangoes. We're not fully ripe. But, in time, we'll become a ripe mango. So that's what we are, Bob. We're like green mangoes.
I was aiming for something, so it's good.
But yeah, in due course of time, we'll become a nice, sweet, ripe mango. If we just stay in the process, we'll become a nice, ripe mango. So yeah, Hiranyakashipu.
And stay on the tree, or just get out of the tree, the mango.
No, even if whenever you pick a green mango, they'll ripen up off the tree. So
but even if you stay in the tree, still you're gonna get yellow anyway.
Yeah, if you stay on the tree, you're going to go ripe, and if you're off the tree, you're going to go ripe, like that. So
either way, we're winning.
Yeah, we're winning. We're on the way. You just got to be patient. That's why it's mentioned. Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Instruction, 6 things favorable to Krishna. One of them is enthusiasm. The next one is confidence, and the next one is patience. So utsaha nisyat daryat. So we should be patient. We don't expect you to become.
I have a third one. What can I do?
What's that?
I've got 2, but I don't have a third one, the patience one. What can I do?
No, everything has to be practice. Everything by practice. You have to practice. And what the example is Prabhupada gives of how a devotee should be patient. It's a very fascinating example. He gives the example of patience is a woman just gets married and she's desperate for a child. But will the woman get child the day after the wedding ceremony?
No.
She has to wait, right? How long?
9 months.
At least 9 months.
Could be more.
Yeah. So even if you start the process straight after marriage, you're going to have to wait 9 or 10 months. So that you have to be patient. There's no choice. You can't make it anything. You can't make it come. So you can't make the tears come out sideways out of your eyes. You can't. Okay, I want it right now. I wanted that pure love right now. No, it'll come when Krishna sees that you're ready. So you just have to be patient. So once you know, okay, it takes 9-10 months for the child to come. I just have to wait. There's no choice. So you have to realize, I have to follow the process. I have to chant 16 rounds every day and follow the 4 regulated principles every day, and try to serve, the spiritual master's instructions, try to please the spiritual master. And then I'll become, in due course of time, I'll become, a pure devotee. So like that. Like Prabhupada said, chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Follow the 4 regulated principles. Try your best to spread Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said, I guarantee at the end of this life, you'll go back home, back to Godhead. And all the devotees went, Jai Prabhupada. So yeah, that's it. That's our 9 months. So we got to wait possibly till this body dies, till we become, a pure devotee and can go back to Godhead. Krishna will take us back to Godhead. I mean, we might become a pure devotee before we die, but definitely Krishna will be pleased if we can stick it through our whole life, that Krishna will be pleased and he'll give us the ticket back home, back to Godhead. That's the hope that we have. That Krishna is so merciful, so kind. Especially in the form of Lord Chaitanya, as we've discussed many times, he's so kind, that he's freely distributing love of God, to very unqualified Kali Yuga people like ourselves, So we're very fortunate to be followers of Lord Chaitanya, so we should never leave the shelter of Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada, and guaranteed, go back to Godhead.
Hey, Prabhu, as your time as a devotee, have you found that that you've, through your service and things like that, that it's like life on the material world is actually becomes so wonderful serving Krishna that you're not thinking about it, going back to Godhead? Like you find that pleasure in service and the process of Krishna consciousness that. you know, you don't think about that going back to Godhead.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, that's in my case. I'm not really thinking about going back to Godhead. I mean, I have in the back of my mind, I have that knowledge that if, by following this process, that's where I'll end up. But I'm not thinking about that like when I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to go back to Godhead. I'm not thinking about that. And I'm not thinking that, I'm suffering so much, I can't wait to go back to Godhead. Actually, life is nice, life is nice. I enjoy chanting and like I said, I love talking about Krishna, and I enjoy gardening and, meeting people and trying to help people become Krishna conscious. So, I'm satisfied the way things are right here and now. I'm not thinking, life's so miserable, I just can't wait to go back to Godhead. It's not like that. Yeah, so that's a good question. But yeah, I'm not. It's not my main meditation going back to Godhead.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not thinking that it's going to take many lifetimes. I have faith in what Prabhupada said, that if I stick to the process, then I can go back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. So, because many, especially from Hindu background and that, and following other processes like yoga processes and that, they'll be conditioned to the idea that it takes many lifetimes. And ordinarily that's correct. Before Lord Chaitanya came, that is correct. It generally takes many lifetimes from when you begin the process to when you go back to Godhead. But however, when Lord Chaitanya came, he just complete paradigm shift, completely changed everything, because he's just distributing love of Godhead. You just have to chant Hare Krishna. There's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita that says, even if the holy name comes on the tongue of a dog eater, which in Sanskrit's called Chandala, which is the lowest class of people in Vedic culture, are those people that eat dogs. So they're regarded as the lowest class, the Chandalas. So, you have Brahmanas, first class, then Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras. Then below Sudras is Chandalas. They're really low class. So anyway, it says this verse is saying, even if a Chandala chants the name Krishna once, just once, forget about 16 rounds every day, just once, then they will be delivered. So that's the power of the holy name. And however long it takes, it may take, for them, of course, if you only chanted once, it might take more than one lifetime. But, for those that chant 16 rounds every day and follow the 4 regs, then definitely there's a great potential you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. But even if someone only chants once and they have lots of bad habits, but in a very short period of time, not many lifetimes, then they can be delivered from the material world and go back to Godhead too. So yeah, if coming in contact with the holy name by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, then, even very unfortunate people can become very fortunate. Very fortunate. So we have faith in the power of the holy name. It's so powerful.
So that's why we really got to get out there and do Harinam and try and get everything.
Yeah. The real thing, that we should lament and be in distress about is people that have never heard the holy name and they've never said the holy name.
Yeah.
They've never heard it. It's never come on their lips. Even like, I get like beggars on the side of the street, right? And I have, even recently I went on a trip to Auckland. I popped into like Bunnings on the way back. And one beggar came up to me in the car park. I just got out, bought my stuff and got in the car. And one beggar came up to me and he said, have you got some money to buy a drink? And he might not even use it to buy a drink, but I'll tell you why I gave it. I said, yeah, I'll give you some money, but you got to do one thing for me. Guess what it was, And I said, you have to say Hare Krishna. And he happily said, he said, what did you say? And I said Hare Krishna. So I said it twice. and he said it perfectly, Hare Krishna, and I gave him $1, you know, and he was so happy. And he said, you made my day. He said, I'm nearly in tears. That's what he said. He said,
Wow.
you've made my day. He said, I feel like, you know, tears like welling up. And he walked off so happy, you know, and I'm happy because, you know, for me, I mean, I just sacrificed $1 is like nothing. And then, but I got so much out of it. I was probably more happy than he was, because I knew that he just started his journey back home, back to Godhead, you know, and that he'll become happy, you know, because obviously he's in great distress, you know, being just a beggar. He's obviously very, you know, distressful situation, but now he's on his road to happiness by, you know, of Krishna. Krishna will now have his attention has been drawn to that person because he chanted the holy name. So what happens is that draws Krishna's attention to that soul, and Krishna will make some arrangements for that soul to drag him in closer, to bring him closer, you know. Even the way I came, you know, Krishna dragged me in bit by bit. First of all, my mother, she very innocently or ignorantly, you know, she would buy books from the flea market, and one box of books she bought was The Science of Self-Realization. And I was just a young teenager and like that. So I had a connection with that book. And I didn't even read the whole book because I was just young and it was over my head. But I still remember the picture of Prabhupada on the front cover, and I remember looking through the pictures inside and seeing Mahavishnu with universes coming out of his skin pores. And that just blew my mind. And definitely I appreciated that book. You know, that picture, Prabhupada looks such a mystical kind of person and very wonderful. And then years later, I had a vegetarian friend that took me to Gopal's restaurant in Auckland, and we had prasad, you know, a vegetarian pie. So I had my first prasad, and I definitely appreciated that. It was like the best thing I'd ever tasted. So I appreciated that, and it was only a year. So there was maybe about six years between when I got the book and when I had prasad, and then another year between when I had prasad and when I met a devotee. And then by that time, the book purified me, and you know, it qualified me for some mercy from Krishna. And then I got the prasad, and it's more mercy and more attention from Krishna. And then I got the devotee. And you know, when you meet a devotee, that's it. You know, then that's really Krishna's helping you, you know, by giving you the devotees association. And then that was it. Then within 3 days of being with the devotee, I joined. So yeah, Krishna's like, you know, like reeling you in. He's like the fisherman, right? He's like, you're on the hook and you're being reeled in, you know, so it's very wonderful. And it's different for everyone, of course, but somehow or other Krishna will bring in that person once they have some kind of connection, whether it's have they had prasad or got the book or heard the holy name or something like that, then slowly they'll come. But yeah, getting back to Lord Brahma, yeah, he was a devotee of Hiranyakashipu was a devotee of Brahma, a demigod, you know. So, but he was regarded as a demon, and you see his behavior was all demoniac, you know. He was raping, killing, you know, stealing, everything, you know, he could do like that. And Ravana, let's look at another one. Ravana, he was a devotee of
Shiva.
So he was a devotee of Shiva, and he's the greatest of all the demigods. And but what did he want from Shiva? Did he want love for God? No, he wanted great powers. You know, what's that?
He wants a great power, kingdom, everything.
Yeah, he wants power and kingdom and everything like that. So that's actually all this material desires. It's all demoniac. That's all demoniac. So see, the difference is even though a demigod has material desires, but the difference is he's approached Krishna. So Krishna is going to purify his heart of the material desires. Whereas if you have material desires and you approach a demigod, they don't have that ability to purify your heart. of all the desires. It's said that if you approach a demigod for with material desires, they'll give it to you. You approach the demigod, I want a wife or husband, they'll give it to you. You want money, they'll give it to you. But you approach Krishna for the same things, but Krishna, he's different. He thinks, if I give my devotee this money and this woman, this man or whatever, is it going to be good for their Krishna consciousness, for their spiritual progress? If the answer is no, he doesn't give it. You see the difference? The demigod will just give, whatever. Like one demon approached Lord Shiva. I want the benediction from you, Shiva, that whosever's head I touch will immediately explode. What kind of benediction, His name was Vrikasura, as mentioned in the end. He's in, I think, the 88th chapter of the Krishna book. There's 90 chapters, so I think it's in the 88th chapter. That's Vrikasura. So he's obviously a pretty angry kind of destructive kind of person. So he wanted the blessing, whoever's head I touch will immediately explode. So Lord Shiva said, okay, have it. Now that just quickly giving him what he wanted nearly caused Lord Shiva's death. Because you know what happened? His so-called devotee ran after Lord Shiva with the idea of touching Shiva's head. He wanted to kill Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gave him that benediction, and immediately he turned on Lord Shiva to kill Lord Shiva. So they're just demons. They're not demigods. Just because you're serving a demigod, it doesn't mean you become a good person.
But is that demigod doesn't have that intention there? What's the demons wants this benediction for? I'm sure, like in Lord Shiva, he's got a institution, like he's got a fair bit of idea. Why does he want it? Because he wants to kill me. That's why he wants it. But Shiva doesn't know that, and he just give it like that.
No, it says what the demigod is thinking is that, you can imagine they're being approached by millions of people like that on a regular basis. So it's just a botheration for them. Oh, can you give me this? Can you imagine if you're a parent with 10 kids and each of the kid is like grabbed onto your clothes saying, Mommy, Daddy, give me this toy, give me this, 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 give me this. So what do? You just give it to them and then they'll go away and leave you in peace. So that's what they're doing, that they're constantly being bothered and pestered by so many so-called devotees, which are not really devotees, give me this and that it's just such a disturbance and botheration because they're trying to, meditate and worship on God themselves. And they're constantly being bothered by these people. So they just quickly give them whatever they want. Okay, you want this? Okay, have it. Get lost. Take it and go. Stop bothering me. So that's explained in the scriptures, and Prabhupada explained that's generally the reason why demigods, don't think too much about it and just give it, because it's just a botheration, these people, so they just want to get rid of them. But yeah, Krishna's not like that. Krishna takes the extra trouble, so. And Prabhupada indicated that we're actually giving Krishna a headache by approaching Krishna and asking him for material things too. But the difference is Krishna will take on that headache because he loves us. He really loves us. So even though we also pester him, oh, Krishna, can you give me this and that? But he will take the effort. Hang on. Okay, before I give it, is it going to be good for him or not? He'll take that on. So Prabhupada said, you should become a devotee even to help Krishna, relieve all of his burden of headache that we cause him. That, okay, from now on, I'm not going to pester him. I'm not going to ask him for material things anymore, and make his life easier. Because imagine what they have to deal with. I mean, you go crazy, with 10 kids. What if you've got, millions and billions and trillions, which is the fact with God, and they're always asking him for things, so we should try to make God's life, easier, not harder. Does that make sense?
How can we make a God life easier?
Our people
Yeah,
feel,
by not pestering him for things. Can you give me this, Daddy? Can you give me this, Daddy? You know, just say, like Prabhupada said, you know, the only thing I ever asked my guru is, how can I serve you? Simple. You know, he never asked anything from his guru. Oh, Guru Maharaj, can you get rid of my cancer? Oh, Guru Maharaj, can you help me pass my exam? Oh, Guru Maharaj, can you help me find a suitable partner? No, he only asks his guru, you know, how can I serve you? That's it. You know, what can I do? Not what can I get from the guru? What can I give to the guru? You know, like that. And that's a real disciple. You know, you try to relieve the anxiety of your guru. Don't try to create anxiety, become an additional anxiety for your guru, but try to relieve the anxiety of the guru. And what's the anxiety of the guru? That people are suffering without Krishna consciousness. So, you know, that's how we can become especially dear to the guru, is by helping him, you know, to spread Krishna consciousness. Because that's their anxiety, that people are suffering without consciousness, you know, like that. So that's a real disciple. You try to relieve the anxiety of your master, not try to create more anxiety for your master, like that. Of course, you know, sometimes, you know, we may need to get help from our guru, and the guru will happily do that. But don't, you know, unnecessarily create problems, you know, for the spiritual master like that. You know, sometimes we may get in a fix, you know, and the guru will be happy to help us. There's no doubt about that. But we shouldn't try to always, you know, be a source of, you know, disturbance for the spiritual master by asking him for things, you know, like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
So yeah, Ravana was a devotee of Shiva, but I mean, he's regarded as a demon, and he was, you know, he was a Rakshasa, means he would eat human beings. Not only he would eat things like cows and sheep and that, what we do now in modern society, but he would even eat other human beings. So they're called Rakshasas, and he was the king of the Rakshasas. So, you know, he's a very evil kind of person, and his behavior and activities. But, you know, he was a devotee of a demigod, you know, like that. But yeah, devotees of the demigods are also in the category of a demon. So that we should understand that. And, you know, what to speak of atheists and others, they definitely are also. Yeah, so this verse, which we're going to look at now, is all about 4 different categories of persons that don't surrender to Krishna. Okay, so we can read the Sanskrit, the English translation, and then continue in the purport. Namam duskritino mudha.
Namam dushkritino muda.
Prapadyante naradama.
Prapadyante naradhama.
Ayaya paharta jnana.
Mayaya pratigyana.
Asuram bhavam asritaha.
Asubhavam mashrita.
Bob, would you like to read the translation, please?
Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and whose partake in the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
Okay. So yeah, 4 categories of persons that don't surrender to God. So we're continuing the purport with the first category, which is called mudha. Mudha means like fools, grossly foolish. So that's said in the translation, grossly foolish. So that's the first one. So that's the part of the paragraph. I think it's about 5 paragraphs into it, and it's got 1, the mudhas. So maybe Bhakti Mala, you could start with that one.
the mudhas are those who are grossly foolish, like hard-working beasts of burden. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves, and they do not want to part with them for the Supreme. The typical example of the beast of burden is the ass, that the humble beast is made to work very hard by his master. The ass does not
S, you say S. Yes. Ass is our backside and the ass is the donkey. S.
Sorry.
That's
The
right.
ass does not really know for whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under fear of being beaten by his master, and satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked by the opposite party. The ass sings poetry and philosophy sometimes, but this braying sound only disturbs others. This is the position of the foolish, fruitive worker who does not know for whom he should work. He does not know that karma, action, is meant for yajna, sacrifice.
Yeah, so the first category of people that don't surrender to God are those that just working like an ass, and that's very common, as you know, in modern day society.
99%.
Yeah, I mean, Gulshan, you were sort of a bit in that position before when we first met you. How many hours a day you were working and how many days a week?
I was working 80 hours a week.
80 hours. I think you were definitely in the ass category, sorry to say.
Definitely.
Yeah,
because I was too busy for sense gratification. Sense gratification needed money.
I know. There's so many bills.
And yeah.
Because we want sense gratification at all costs, and then you have to get money from somewhere. Yeah. So you have to work very hard. So that's very common in modern day society all over the world. This category is a very common category. And because of that, because you're working so hard, there's no time for spiritual life. Even if there was an interest in God, there's no time. I remember, wow, it's a completely incredible story with Prabhupada. One time they were on a morning walk and they were just talking about one disciple. And the disciple there said, such and such disciple, he started to work in a factory. And Prabhupada didn't say anything. There was no response from that okay, one of his disciples working in a factory. Okay, so then they continued talking and the disciple said, he's so tired, this devotee, he started his new job in the factory, he's so tired after he comes back from the factory that he's not able to complete his 16 rounds. So Prabhupada's like, he would walk very fast because that's his exercise for the day, right? That 1 hour walk. So he stopped like immediately. And the devotees behind him nearly crashed into Prabhupada because he's just stopped without any warning so suddenly. And he put his cane in the ground, his walking stick in the ground, and very, with great, strength said, what? He's not chanting his 16 rounds? He's an animal. And all the devotees' mouths open and went, oh. Prabhupada just called his disciple an animal. So why did Prabhupada react so strongly to that? Because he's working so hard, he doesn't have the energy all the time to do the bare essentials, of what's required to keep his spiritual life on the road. It's going to go off the rails. So what's keeping our Krishna consciousness, our spiritual consciousness alive? What's maintaining it?
The chanting.
Is the chanting, right? It's mainly the chanting. And so if you stop your chanting, what's going to happen? You're gonna lose your spiritual consciousness. You're gonna lose your Krishna consciousness. And if you except for Krishna.
Frozen ice cream. Bhakti, what happened?
I don't know. It happened last week too.
Yeah, I noticed that because her Avi Prabhu's class there about the fairness has got a blocking in between. Have you noticed that? I heard.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh yeah, I watched it, but it's just in between. There's some words I didn't understand because it's just breaking.
Oh, okay.
Now his hand is up. He said, "Listen, I'm with you. Just chant and be happy."
Can I tell you, on the news through the week, the South Korean government has now given it the okay by law that the